Hello and welcome to the next 100 Days podcast. My name is Graham Arrowsmith.
And my name's Kevin Appleby. Graham, you've been talking to us on and off over the last dozen episodes or so about something called MecLabs. And we've had guests from various groups that you've joined and you've met in the process of dealing with the MecLabs people. I think we need to know more about what MecLabs is all about.
Well, I'm glad that you've noticed, Kevin. It's one of those things that I've been involved in for, I don't know, probably about, well, oddly enough, for about 15 years. But actually, the more recent engagement has been for about 4 or 5 months, and it's been an awful lot of commitment, but a fantastic experience. Oddly enough, around a month, 2 months ago, a young lady called Arshiya Kapil came into my life, and it's completely transformed the way I'm doing work. Arshiya, welcome to the next 100 Days podcast.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're very welcome. And you and I work together every day, and we are teaming up to bring some news about MeclabsAI to the world. Just give us a brief overview from your perspective as to what that is.
Well, MeclabsAI is a dynamic innovation. It's a marketing AI application and helps the clients with everything marketing and also the finances as well. So it's all in a one package. We get copy with it. We get help with managing the finances. We get help with strategies. We get help with email campaigns. So It's all in a one package and just the answers to every problem.
I mean, that last phrase is absolutely as I see it as well. It's almost like you if you have access to MeclabsAI, Kevin, what you're actually getting is probably the best marketing team in the world right within your own company. So you can ask it almost any question. Well, no, not almost. You can ask it any question about marketing, and it will give you an answer because it can call on lots of different experts. It can call on a range of applications or apps, and it can call on a range of libraries that you can create within the actual MeclabsAI platform. So, for instance, a library. Well, actually, I'm going to ask Arshiya to give us an idea of a library because we've actually tried to create one, which might surprise you, Kevin.
Yeah. And a library is just the repository of information, the information that we want to add in to personalize it and just talk about one specific industry or one specific topic. So we get to do that in MeclabsAI. And there are various libraries, the default libraries that are available. So we select one library we want to get information on. We type in the prompt, just tell me what is a marketing fundamental, let's say, and it will come up with it. And if we are not able to understand the answer or the response that MecLabs gave us, we simply write again that please give it in a simpler language, or I want it in this format, a table format, or anything, and MecLabs will give its answers.
I mean, that's the surprising part to this, Kevin, is that, well, you and I, Kevin, have created a body of work going back 9 years. And we decided to see whether or not we could actually run up a library of some of the past guests. We've not done all of them. We've done enough of them just to sort of prove the point. And what we wanted to do is add those into a library, maybe segmented by particular type, because you know as well as I do, we've had finance people on the podcast, we've had marketing people on the podcast, mindset people on the podcast, lots of different people. And sort of going through each podcast right now, going back, even with our recollection, Kevin, it's quite difficult to sort of discern the key learnings that we got from any particular podcast. Do you understand that?
Yeah. Come on, I'm all ears, Graham. What have you been doing?
What we have is we've built, and we're about to rebuild it, given some latest advice. But basically, we've built a sort of almost like a snapshot of a number of our podcasts. And so basically, we take the recording of the podcast, we get the translation of the words, and then we take those words and then we put that data within the library. Now,
So, Graham, if it's picking up on the stuff that you and I are talking about, it's going to be transcribing some absolute nonsense. And you're going to know a lot about Leeds United.
well, Newcastle United, but the truth is, yes. I mean, I'm sure we could ask it about Leeds United. We haven't done that yet, but I'm sure we could ask it about Leeds United and Newcastle United, and we'll probably have a lot of evidence there. But the fact is, if we were talking about marketing, we've had amazing marketers on this podcast. And their information, when they've shared their information, all you have to do is go back to people like Dave D, for instance, that we both enjoyed that podcast. And there were parts of that particular podcast. It was like gold, absolute gold. We've had other conversion experts on. We've had all kinds of different people over the last sort of 9 years. And I just thought it'd be fun to actually add some of that into a library and then use other, shall we say, experts. And there are three fundamental parts to MeclabsAI. There is an expert, and that could be the marketing professor. So you can ask a marketing professor pretty much anything about, well, marketing and strategy and really quite simple questions. You don't have to be an expert yourself. You just say, well, what refer to the library on the next 100 days, and then basically ask it, what are the key learnings that you got from the marketing podcast on the next 100 days? And then it would throw out those key learnings in some sort of order. Now, to the point, and the point that Arshiya's just made is that you can say, well, yeah, that's really interesting, but it's quite difficult to digest. And you just summarize it and put it into a table. So then it summarizes it and puts it into a table. It's amazing to see. Now, what we probably need to do at some stage is do a live demo of how this works. But what I wanted to be able to do today was to tell and break some news about the way in which Arshiya and I are going to team together and promote the actual MeclabsAI product. Now, our plan, and as I said, Arshiya came into my life. She wrote to me, and it was almost hypnotic. She hit the button right at the right time. And Arshiya, tell the world where you live.
Okay, I am born and brought up in the northern part of India in a union territory called Chandigarh. So spent almost 15 years of my life there. Also lived in cities like Mumbai and Jammu and Kashmir, but came back here to my hometown. Lovely city, very peaceful.
It's and the point is, she's just a remarkable young lady. And actually, right now, believe it or not, Kevin, there are 42 years between my age and hers. And so I don't know what the average is, but it's skewed, I think, because she's got this young brain, very, very, and you have a master's degree as well, don't you?
I do in English literature.
So, which is going to be really helpful because actually MecLabs is technically a sort of a trained on large language models. So basically, it's an amazing capability. But you've got a great marketing brain as well. You've got businesses within your family, and you're part of that as well. But you're helping us develop a business to promote MeclabsAI. Now, last night, Kevin, we landed on a name that we're going to use to promote the business. Now, the story behind the name is that, well, MecLabs as a methodology works on a number of sort of ideas, and one of them is that when you construct a landing page or a page that you're going to send people to once you've got an offer of some sort, and you do that with Growth CFO, you have a web page, etc., and you send people there. You might have one for Kevin Appleby consulting and so forth. So you send people there. and the page is constructed in a particular way. What normally happens in the world is that people, to quote Flint McLaughlin, who's effectively the founder of MecLabs, he says people throw tries at the page. So you get these blocks of sort of things going on a web page, and you scroll through these blocks. It might look pretty, but it's not necessarily engaging in a sort of a mental way, the way in which somebody is considering your page at any one time. And those considerations, they've got to go through, and Flint's determined that as 8 different micro yeses. So that might be the first micro yes would be, say, the headline on a page. So that headline would be saying, yes, I'll pay attention. The next sort of micro yes is the sort of subheadline, which is where he's going to say, yes, I will engage deeper. Kind of get the headline that's attracted me. Yes, I'll engage deeper. And then there's a series of other micro yeses that sort of deal with, do I understand it? Do I believe it? Do I want this? Do I want it now and from you? So basically, then there's the last part, which is all to do with, are you willing to trade, and are you willing to sort of finish, in other words, pay up and do the thing, or do whatever the action that you require on that page. So those are micro yeses, and they know that actually constructing a landing page, constructing pages, using those in a particular order, and those micro yeses are linked to other things that you do in advance of you creating a page, like creating an initial customer profile, which is like an ideal customer profile, constructing your offer, and then looking at your value proposition. All that thinking is done before you create this landing page, but the core elements of it are these micro yeses. So we'd like to announce to the world, or at least Arshiya would like to announce to the world, what the name of our brand will be to promote MeclabsAI.
It will be MicroYes.ai.
So we've managed to secure at great personal cost. They don't know how to charge for AI URLs, but basically our brand will be MicroYes. And it's because it's almost like the unit of understanding the way in which people can actually get to that magical thing called yes. So there are micro yes steps that will get us to a goal that you have for the landing page. And so MicroYes will become our brand, but it's actually powered by MeclabsAI. And so the whole idea of this is that what we want to be able to do is to be a great partner to MeclabsAI. We're already a partner, but we want to be a great partner. And so what we want to do is bring that. And initially, Arshiya's going to tell us who we're going to target initially. So if you're one of these people, then go to the landing page go to the show notes page of this particular podcast, and you'll find a link that will take us to us, Arshiya and myself. So Arshiya, tell us a little bit more about the
audience.
Yeah.
So our initial customer profile that we want to target is the marketing agencies, particularly small to medium marketing agencies. The thought that we came up to this is that all these marketing agencies would need it for themselves and for their clients as well. It's almost like a marketing team that we are bringing to them at a fraction of price. So that's going to be our initial customer profile.
And we're looking at marketing, small to medium-sized marketing agencies, Kevin, in the UK and in India. So I'm going to have to learn an awful lot about India. In fact, my wife and I are planning to go and meet Arshiya and her family. Well, once my daughter's married in October. We're going to do too many things at once, Kevin. You know how it is.
Mm.
We are male. We can't multitask. But no.
But
I am so looking forward. My brother's been to India and he just raves about it. So I can't wait to go. And
Please be my guest. I've already decided your itinerary, so
oh, I didn't know. You probably asked MeclabsAI. Can't you decide this
it was
itinerary?
Arshiya's brain.
Ursha's brain. Okay, well that's we can't wait, and it'll be such an exciting thing. But inevitably, there will be probably a little bit of business because hopefully we'll have attracted a few clients and we can go and see them. So far, Kevin, we've announced the name of our brand, which will be MicroYes.ai, and we will hopefully attract people under that umbrella so that we will develop the three aspects of what MecLabs AI is. It has experts. Those are the people, a bit like you, Kevin. You're an expert when it comes to finance, all that kind of stuff, marketing, management, accounting, and so forth. So you're an expert at that. So we'll have experts. Now, currently within MecLabs, there's all kinds of experts. There are pricing experts. There are sort of data scientists. There are conversion experts. There are
Project plan,
copywriting experts.
email campaign,
Yeah,
copyright on landing pages for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
yeah.
These are the default experts that McLabs provides.
What we will be doing, and we're in the middle of doing this right now, is we'll be developing our own set of experts which are attuned to support the key issues that small to medium-sized marketing agencies will have. So one of the first ones that we decided to test, well, Arshiya, you'll have to give us an idea of what that was.
We decided to test an expert called Scope Creep, which we decided to name it as ScopeWise. So it just talks about if an agency or a company is facing scope creep or struggling with it. And so we just added, how do you analyze it? Just gave a quiz in uh, for the companies to be aware of it if they're facing it. Just gave in steps to avoid it and just how to improve from it. Simple practices that we added in our experts.
I would imagine 100% of marketing agencies will have found themselves subject to scope creep. So you agree something with a client, and then after a little while, it's expanded to include one or two other things, sadly, without payment. So it's one of those things that you're caught between a rock and a hard place. You've got a paying client, but they're paying for A, B, and C, but you end up doing A, B, C, D, E, you go through the alphabet. And the
yes,
issue then is how do you get that kind of thing under control? And so what we wanted to do, oh, by the way, this is just one of well, it's a frightening number, but we're looking at building a number of experts. So we become, if you like, the de facto support for marketing agencies throughout the world, and in particular, initially, India and the UK.
okay. So you're building these experts, Graham. Can't I do something similar with any of the other AIs that are around? Can't I build things such as this using ChatGPT? What's special about MecLabs to be able to build these experts?
Um, First of all, you can try, of course you can. The problem is that when you're in chat and other things, then your library, shall we say, is the internet. It will go out and interrogate the nearest things. What we found from chat is that they tend to be, shall we say, lazy. So they'll find something, bring it back, but they're incredibly confident and persuasive about their answers that they're giving you. So you might think it's the greatest answer that chat can give you. So you have to be very cautious about that. So I'm not saying you cannot do some of these things there. I'm saying that by doing it within or have it done for you, well, let's face it, it's a lot easier to have it done for you, but having it done for you within MecLabs AI, then you're not only benefiting from a particular library, but you're a marketing agency and your clients, not necessarily marketing agencies, but your clients are looking for you to help them with things like conversions. So how they're not getting enough conversion um, on their landing page. I'm meeting an old friend. Actually, in fact, you know him. I'm meeting Kirk Doby, who was a previous guest on this show, Kevin. I'm meeting him for a coffee later on. And I asked him whether or not he'd be good enough to share a couple of his clients. So one of the things I've been doing in preparation for that meeting with him, Kevin, is to use the MecLabs AI to give Kirk, in this case, some sort of idea of how it can actually help improve his service to them and their particular outcomes. To answer your question directly, um, MecLabs and its owner Flint McLaughlin. Here's his book, by the way, and he's the marketer as philosopher. This book I've had for, in fact, I think it's number 389, the version of this book. Um, and I've had that for a number of years. But basically, he's dedicated something like 30 years of his life in pursuit of this fundamental unit of conversion, a yes. How do I get to yes? And he's not just dedicated, more than 2 decades, almost 30 years of his life, but he's dedicated 138 million pounds worth of money to that story, during which they've created something in the region of 10,000 marketing experiments, something in the region of 20,000 treatments based on landing page conversions. So in other words, you've got one landing page, you create another one. And so basically, he's trained thousands of students throughout the world. He's defined the primary standards for scientific testing in conversion marketing. And this is the original conversion marketer. Nobody will claim it before because he helped create the lexicon of conversion. And he's tested over, as I've said, 20,000 marketing hypotheses. So that's what you would create when you've got a new version of a web page. But he's conducted field research with hundreds of the top brands in the world, including Verizon, Amazon, the New York Times, lots more, and many of them in this country as well. He was a professor at Oxford, Cambridge. He's been all over the world, imprinting his philosophies. But the most important thing, Kevin, that is defined to become the conversion expert is defined a way that people can actually understand what they should do when it comes to conversion on their web pages. And that conversion is a formula. He calls it a heuristic. So bear with me now. It's C, which is conversion, equals 4M, M for motivation, plus 3 V, V for the force of the value proposition, plus 2 brackets, incentive minus friction, close brackets, minus 2A, A for anxiety. Now, when you look at and break down those elements, you are almost certainly going to improve your landing pages as they are. What would you rather have? A $20 per month access to Chat 4, or something that has been proven over years and years and years with the biggest companies in the world, changing their fortunes with a defined and well-researched heuristic, and all the tools that will help you apply it. You don't have to be an expert. I'm not an expert, and I'm learning every day. So basically, if you were to choose MecLabs, you get all of that, and you wouldn't get any of that on Chat. So that's the big difference.
That makes a lot of sense, Graham, that you're looking in most of the large language models to the whole of the internet,
Yes.
on which you're going to get some good stuff, you're going to get some bad stuff.
Yeah.
and you're going to get coming back a pretty generic answer.
Mhm.
Where I find chat very useful is where you pretty much know what the answer is going to be anyway, and you know already enough to tell it what you want as the output, and it's just creating some words. It's effectively maybe padding out a series of bullet points or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's brilliant at doing that. Now, you're saying effectively, well, actually, all the best information here is in experts' brains. And I mean, human experts, as opposed to experts as the applications defining it. It's in books that people have written on the subject, which generally are not transcribed somewhere on the internet for the large language model to pick up.
Mhm.
And therefore you can train this particular AI on some very, very specific best practice
Yeah.
ideas.
Yes. Ursula, feeding on what Kevin has just said, who did we talk to yesterday?
We spoke to Bill Giovanati, the pastor.
Now, Bill has created Ministries.ai. He's created an entire ecosystem around MecLabs, and it's not done yet. He's constantly working. He has an incredible work ethic. He's on the west coast of America, and if you kind of know the time difference, he actually was on a call with us at 2 p.m., but he offered 12 noon. Now, 12 noon's 4 o'clock in his time. So he gets out of bed early. I don't know whether it's a religious thing or not, but it's just basically a work ethic thing. He joined us at 6 a.m. and he gave us about an hour and a half of his time. And he was talking about the way in which he's applying um, his knowledge of 40 years of being a pastor to spread the Christian word to other people. Now and for instance, one of the things that his experts do and apps do, libraries, etc., what they do is create sermons for people. So if you've got a church, then you can you might want to do a sermon on a particular part of the Bible, and it will go into that, and it'll give you a sermon plan. It'll write a sermon. It'll do all the kind of things, but it's trained on his 40 years of producing sermons. It's trained on, well, he doesn't have to upload the Bible because it's there on the World Wide Web anyway. So he can actually go and find elements of the Bible. But he's also got, as I say, 40 years of being a pastor. He's built, I don't know how many experts we saw, but there was a heck of a lot of experts. I don't know if you noted how many there were, Ursula, but there was a lot.
Good amount of 15 to 20 experts that he was manually adding information in and just adding his philosophies and
That's kind of important when you're building an expert. Bill's kind of ahead of most of us when it comes to developing these things. And what is just interesting is that it's almost like God's leading the way. I mean, it's not that, but it's basically Bill is ahead of the game, and he's plowing through to help his people, and he's intent on sharing it with every church in America. So he's got a big plan, and it's if he can do that through the application of these experts, through apps, and through libraries, then he's going to be very, very influential, and he'll probably be fairly wealthy on the back of it as well, because it is a money making opportunity. But the point is, he's serving people in a way that's never been done. Kevin, yeah, how many blog posts have you written?
Oh, hundreds.
Hundreds. And I know I've read a few. I know that I mean, you're a good writer. And imagine that you were writing. Well, give me a topic. Give me one of the topics that you've written with, I don't know, recently, last year or something.
I put a LinkedIn newsletter out this week that was about A quick guide on how to implement shared services in a global operation.
Okay, so and shared services means
It means that you've got a group of companies, and instead of having a finance function in each, you centralize the finance into
I see.
the
Yeah,
group company, and they process all the transactions for all the companies.
great. Now, however good you wrote that article, and I'm sure I didn't read that one, but let's just say that it was an amazing article. It would not, I can guarantee, and you can guarantee yourself, it would not have answered every question that people have. And it would not have created a conversation in and of itself. The issue there is that one of the things that MechLabs could do is almost having a link at the end of the what's it called of the article. And the way in which MechLabs is going, this will be available probably next month, is that you could almost have a trigger at the bottom of the article that once that trigger. So, for instance, hey, get to know more about this, or join the conversation, or something along those lines. That could potentially lead you to what we call a device. And a device is a bit like it's a bit like an expert. So it kind of goes up, and if you can imagine on your phone, like a sort of an oblong shape with a picture of the marketing professor at the top. Somebody who looks a bit like you, Kevin, rather than me. I mean, I'm just too good looking for these things. It couldn't possibly be me. But somebody like yourself, Kevin. And so basically, that would be the marketing professor. And underneath that is a series of prompts that are linked to the article or the kinds of questions that you might want to ask about that article. So that might be, in this particular case, yeah, but what happens if one drops out? And what happens if, in these particular circumstances, what should we do? It goes away and gives you an answer and the sorts of structure of the sort of things that you should think about to overcome that. So, in other words, and then you can ask it a question back based on the answer it's just given. So it's not the last thing you want to call this is a chatbot. It's not. Chatbots are like old. If you've got them on your website, get in touch with us because the world's changing and you really do need to move forward. And this is the way in which we're moving forward. It isn't just in a leap, it's in a massive jump. Because basically, what this is going to do is revolutionize the way in which people can actually interact with content, interact with, well, it doesn't take a genius to think this one through, but it helps people understand the way in which you can, shall we say, bring somebody into your fold. So lead generation. So let's just say you're an insurance. You're looking for a car insurance. I mean, Ursha's got. I said your car insurance must be really high, Ursha, even in India, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you probably have an accident every 3 weeks or so, don't you?
I hope not. I
No,
hope I
no,
don't.
no, no.
But yeah.
But the point is, imagine that you're looking for new insurance, and you turn up at this expert, and the expert literally asks you with voice, Kevin. You've told them your name, Kevin. Hi, my name's Kevin. I'm looking for car insurance. Kevin, what kind of car do you have? Um, you know, what was your premium last year? Or whatever the information they needed to do to actually go and search for something like that, and then explain it to you. Explain some of the questions that you would have. You haven't touched a company at this stage. They don't know you exist. But then all of a sudden, you've said, do you know what? That sounds quite good for my. You still have that Jaguar, Kevin?
No, got rid of that a long time ago, Graham.
All right. Well, I can never remember because you change your cars like your shirts, don't you? But I mean,
Um,
but
you got
but, but no, no, no. I mean, but well, the worst thing, my Tesla. I mean, they've come after us with a big stick, Kevin. You might think that's funny, but I mean, I think the second year of the Tesla, I think my policy doubled. Didn't have an accident, it just doubled, and which was ridiculous. But it's just one of those things. But the thing is getting the right kind of cover for your car is is something that you probably need a little bit of help with. You don't really want to speak to a person because you always feel what are they trying to do, Kevin?
I try to sell you something as soon as you
And
speak to a person.
now, I'm not saying that this expert wouldn't be trying to sell something. I'm just saying it would be a very, very gentle nudge in the right direction. That's all. So effectively, well, if that's what you're saying, then you might want to consider this, that kind of idea. So it's not saying, hey, this is the best thing since sliced bread. None of that. It's not rudimentary, but it can be trained to actually, sort of listen to what you want and then make some sort of conclusion. That methodology will be available in consumer facing settings within, I'm going to say, it's going to be autumn when it's out, but next month and beyond. Kevin, that's game changing. That is massively game changing because the idea, if you think you can, it'll transform lead generation. It's the ability to get the answers you're looking for in a way that's understood. Voice exchange. You can type if you want, and you can do it at 12 o'clock at night. Well, I'll be
Yep.
fast asleep. Ursula,
And
you're
as
still
well.
up then, aren't you?
I am.
That's only because it's a different time zone, Graham.
No, well, um, no, you're actually Ursula's 4.5 hours ahead of where we are in the UK, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm sorry, I cut across. What did you say?
I said again to your point that it will answer to your questions at 12 at night. And it will also give you comparisons and
Yeah.
not trying to sell from that one company.
No.
So you have it all on one page.
Yeah, and the comparison insurance sites, they're not going to be quaking, but they'll be observant, Kevin.
Yes.
And they will, and so from a lot of insurance companies' point of view, and it might not, it might work perfectly well for an insurance company who might have a range of services. And, at the end of the day, it's sort of, now we do have some expertise already in this field because we've tested MecLabs in this field against call centers. And it's not going to be a big surprise who was the winner. So, this works better than call centers. So that there are so many things that companies can do with us, but it starts at the real sort of basic level. You can get access to MecLabs for a very limited time for free. Then you can go up to there's $100 a month access. It has a limitation to it. The advanced version is the one that Ursula and I are on right now. And then as soon as the strategic version comes out, then we'll be no doubt moving up to that as well. So the whole idea of that, the strategic one, is the one where we'll be able to create customer facing solutions. At the moment, it's that's limited to that particular version of the service.
So if an agency wants to get into this, Graham,
Yeah.
and can see that there's a very good reason for following what you're doing through MicroYes,
Yeah.
what's that going to cost an agency?
Well, at the moment, if they were literally to sign up today, it would cost them the same through MicroYes as it would through MecLabs. I mean, the big difference is what we'll be doing to support agencies in the UK and India in particular. Look, if somebody comes from France, we'll help them. But or if somebody comes from Ireland or whatever, we will help them. And so we're not averse to helping anyone. It's just that our initial focus will be in those areas. So the answer to that is it's either going to be $100 a month, $300 a month, or when strategic comes out, and I genuinely think that would be a very sensible move for an agency. They would look at strategic, which will come in at $1,000 a month. Now, when you work that one out, and there are some sort of pay it up front, and it's a bit cheaper thing, etc. So there are options like that which we can happily lay out on our page for people. But when they come to us, they won't. If they buy direct, shall we say, from MecLabs AI, they will not get access to the range of apps and experts and libraries that will be putting together based on what we know their main challenges are, like generating leads, as Kirk was saying. He said all my previous clients and all my current clients all want to know how they get more qualified leads. Well, MecLabs AI can do that.
Okay, that
Tailored.
makes a lot of sense. So your business, Graham, then is based on effectively reselling the product, which I guess is an affiliate-based model, but you're giving the customer a lot more value than buying directly from MecLabs.
Yeah, I mean, technically, like Bill Giovanetti and the Ministry's product, because he's adding lots more, what's the right word, value to the offer, he can actually charge more than the rate that it comes in at, because he's offering way more than MecLabs per se is. It might be at some stage we will be in that position, but at the moment, we want to continue to offer the best possible value for agencies to get them involved in the very best use of MecLabs. And I promise you, there are so many ways in which agencies can make money. I mean, one of the things that we can do, Kevin, is we can go through the series. Imagine it as a team. That's the best way to think of it. You've got a team of experts. There might be, I don't know, 10 of those or whatever. And then you've got applications and about another 10 of those. And then you've got libraries, the number that you can create. Imagine then you have an agency. What do they have? Well, they have clients. And let's just say we're thinking about somebody in India. They've got a client that happens to be, I don't know, a big conglomerate. Arshiya's probably going to smile at this point because she knows the conversation I had. Because it was like, yeah, get into that company. No, it's just so big. And sorry, that's not how you said it, Arshiya, is it?
One day we'll get it. Let's hope so.
One day, one day we'll get it. But it is one of the biggest. And to be honest with you, my bad. I just did not know what this company. I won't mention it, but I just did not know that they were one of the biggest companies in India. But they're a client of an agency that is, Arshiya could get out a sort of a 9-iron and hit a ball and hit the top of their roof sort of thing. So it's just round the corner sort of thing. So the whole idea of that is that could we improve the fortunes of this massive company with elements of our offer? So it might be different elements. And the answer to that is absolutely. They're a conglomerate of companies. So they might have, I don't know, for the sake of argument, 20 different verticals that they're serving. And I can absolutely guarantee you, if you had a look at some of their web pages, had a look at some of the processes that they're using to either attract people through, I don't know whether they're using social media or not, but basically through the various media that you're using or email marketing or whatever. And we have an email marketing expert, for instance, built into MecLabs AI. We can improve their business, their clients' business, in a way that they've never, ever done before. And so that gives them massive potential value with their client. But more importantly, their client gets a service that helps accelerate their already big business into new levels of earnings. So, I'm completely confident that we can help our clients become massive heroes to their clients.
Okay, so I can see that the agency comes along, buys MecLabs, then has to develop the material that's going to make a big difference to their client. There's a time delay in getting your money back.
Hmm.
Um, are there any immediate benefits to the agency? You've got this fantastic piece of software. Is that going to save the agency money straight off?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a look at some of the. I'm going to say this wrong because I always do, but in Chandigarh, almost right. Yeah, I'm struggling with the city, but I'm going to have to get it right when I go there, aren't I? Otherwise, I get on the wrong train or something like that. But we've had a look at some of those agencies already. Tell me what we found out about their web pages.
We did go through all these agencies and just uh, we from our marketing eyes, we found something, we found work to be done. And we found that they were struggling as well. Not struggling, but as in they needed help in for their webpage and for their clients as well. So to your question that what are we providing immediately, we will be handholding their first campaign. Who will be joining us? It's almost like an early adopter offer or something like that. So, and we'll be also offering, tailored experts or libraries to the challenges that they are facing, whether it's lead generation, it's copy, or whatever challenges they are facing. So that'll be us. And we're also providing them consultation calls like once a month or in that area. So that's going to be a help to them.
It's
Yes.
um, it's our MicroYes.ai is starting with the two of us, and we will have inevitably over time, Kevin, we will have to expand, and probably in India as well, and we'd have to expand our team. But as Flint says, is that some of our group when he talks to us as partners, he basically says this, there'll be somebody, two people, and every time he says that, I'm thinking Ursula and me. He says two people will be billionaires on the back of MeclabsAI. It has so much potential to absolutely some of the things I know coming down the track, which I've hinted at on this podcast, but some of the things I know that are coming down the track are just amazing. And there's going to be no stop. And when it comes to large language models and whether or not it's, I don't know, chat that's the best at the moment or Claude that's the best, whichever it doesn't really matter to us because we'll just swap to the one that works best for MechLabs and or potentially have access to more. So the whole idea of this is that the real value that we have is the bit that's closer to home. It's the libraries, it's the developed experts, it's the apps. And remember, in an app, I know that you work with Grow CFO. Okay. So basically, their website is growcfo.net. Is that right?
Correct.
Right. So I take growcfo.net and I go to apps immediately. So they buy this service now, the agency, and I've got a client called Grow CFO, and I take their URL only, and I go to Web Pages Analyzer. That's what it's called. They all have little icons. Some of them look like Urshiya, some of them are a bit grizzled and look like me. But basically, we can actually change them. So we'll probably have our own set of icons at some stage. That'll be fun. We'll get one to look like you, Kevin. I think that would be with anything to do with finance or pricing expert. That would be Kevin Appleby. But anyway, so imagine putting growcfo.net into the dialog box, and a chosen app is web page analyzer. Hit the button, yes, continue or whatever, and then off it goes, and it sends out. It goes and grabs everything. So it sends out crawlers and it grabs everything from your page. For us, it's context that's important. What we want is to have a great understanding of Grow CFO for us to be able to apply the sort of methodologies within MechLabs to give you the best possible answer. So it's going to go in there, and then it'll tell you what your headline is, and then it'll tell you what your call to actions are, tell you what your main bullets are, tell you what your pricing is. It'll tell you things that it's gathered from that analysis. And then beneath that, it'll give you an option to, what's the right word? To analyze or what are they potentially not doing? So what does web page analyzer think it could do? You could be doing better. Let's say you have a headline, but it maybe isn't ideal. Maybe there's an absence of a subheadline, or maybe there's something missing, or there's something not quite as strong as it needs to be. And at that point, that's when you say, well, that's really good. Thanks very much indeed for doing that. And you talk to it. It's a bit weird, really, but you're talking to an AI as if it's a person. And in a way, they are. You're talking to a range of people. So we've had the example of the web page analyzer. What we're going to do now is going to say, all right, Kevin, I'm now going to go to Conversion Pro. So then I say, well, you've heard what web page analyzer has said. What would you do better? How would you take this and do it even better to get even more conversion? So the Conversion Pro would come through, and it'll give you more examples of what you could do. Now, when you say this is what could we do right now, you can be doing this right now, and I'll give you one last piece of what we could do next. So then, under the Conversion Pro, you say, well, this is all really good. You're prompting, and you're not really prompting, you're just writing. So you're saying, well, this is really good. And then you choose, say, Project Planner, draft a project plan that will set out what your team at Grow CFO needs to do in the next 14 days to change these things. And then under that, you could say to, under Project Planner or some other, maybe an AI mentor or something, you'd say, how about creating a course that they can actually follow in the next 5 days that will actually give them all the kind of key concepts about what they need to do to change all the things that is above. So now if you can imagine, you've kind of got a number of chat interactions, if you like. You've got a number of the MecLabs team has given you answers in a particular way. So it's like a block of understanding. Then you can just share that chat. I can share that chat. I could do this for you now. I could share that chat, and I would potentially take that link, drop it in an email to you, and then you click on that link, and then it opens up MecLabs, a completely new version of MecLabs, which gives you a relatively limited access to the service. So you can use that service to kind of almost like persuade yourself, hey, this is a good thing. You also get the value that is already being created. So this is a method that we're using to sort of propagate this idea around the world, and in particular to India and the UK.
This sounds fascinating. Sounds incredibly powerful. Graham, wishing you all the best and looking forward to see where this goes.
Well, thank you, Kevin. And I would just like to say thank you to Arshiya for joining us on her first podcast. But we've got one more piece of news, haven't we, Arshiya? Yep. Which is about podcasting.
Yes. Oh, yes. We are launching our own product podcast, Ramsar and I, with the name of 42 AI podcast, and 42 being the age gap and just life, meaning of life.
Yeah, well, it's the answer to the ultimate question, isn't it, Graham? The meaning of life, the universe, and everything. And you worked out what the ultimate question is yet, though.
Oh, well, that's the beauty. There'll be an agency out there, or a bright person with an agency who are thinking, I've got the perfect thing I want to ask it. And, we can fix that in a heartbeat. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, hey, this sounds like it could be for us. And by the way, it is. And we might not have represented it in the best possible way, but we can tell we're really pumped by a whole thing. We'd really want to make it work. And, the podcast, the 42 AI, is going to be why 42? Do you know what our logo? The logo is an asterisk, and the reason it's an asterisk is 42 is the ASCII code for the asterisk. It's also, as you said, the meaning of everything, if you like, meaning of life, and etc. And it's also the age difference between Ursula and myself. So there is some sort of logic for 42 AI, and you'll be it's not when the first few episodes will be out, I would imagine, in September. So what we'll be able to do is then share where we are with MeclabsAI, and in particular what we're doing with users, etc. And but also any questions that we get, we'll try and answer some of those on the actual podcast itself. So the type of things we've been talking about. Maybe we have something called that sort of, we call it a device where you've got a sort of a pop-up type thing, a trigger and a device and then you can have that conversation. We mentioned that earlier. That will all be described. There is so much to share. All I would say, Ursula, thank you from my point of view. Thank you for joining Kevin and I on the Next 100 Days podcast. I hope our listeners have found this interesting, Kevin.
I think they will have done, Graham. I think there's certainly people will have had their curiosity sparked and will be watching this space.
And I would say, and Ursula and I were talking about this yesterday evening, I would say that there is no limitation. You don't have to be an agency to talk to us. We were considering a number of other areas. And when we were thinking about the name Kevin, we were thinking about something related to an agency. And we found that all of the nice, all the really useful URLs have been taken up. And we had this as something that was eating away at me. I was just thinking how clever this might be, because it's the fundamental unit almost of the methodology. I like it for that. But it also opens us up to everybody, whether you're an insurance company, a jewelry company, hotelier, estate agent, you name it, get in touch. There's so much to do. It will transform your fortunes. And on that bombshell, Kevin, I'd like to say today, I've been Graham Arrowsmith.
I've been Kevin Appleby. Goodbye.
Goodbye.